Well, Dad, right before this podcast, before we started recording, you got a package delivered to your door, and you said it took like an hour and a half,
Mm-hmm.
hour and a half to get to you from the time you placed the order.
It's an Amazon order, right?
His Amazon order. It's quite fascinating to think about where we've come in terms of delivery and mail service. I used to remember going out to the mailbox, and it was like an event. Right. I loved getting the mail. In fact, to be honest, I still do. Like, there's just something about opening up the mailbox and seeing what's inside of it. And now I even get like USPS will email me, hey, here's the mail you're getting today.
I definitely get that too.
But there's something about going and opening the mailbox. For me, it's that slight hope that there's something personal in there.
You know what my last one was, like 2 weeks ago, that was very personal?
I don't know.
From the IRS.
Oh, that's...
So I look at that, I get that same email, what's coming in the mail today, and I see Internal Revenue Service. I think, I hadn't done anything wrong. What are they doing to me? And so I go out there.
Was it a thank you letter from the IRS?
It was a check.
Wow.
I had not reported correctly my 4-quarter estimates. I had understated one of them.
Okay.
And so within 2 weeks, they caught it and sent me a correction check.
Whoa. Well, wait, that is amazing.
It is amazing.
IRS is giving you money.
They're giving me my money back because I overpaid. But
True. But yeah.
But
it's that moment you open the mailbox, and I can even remember back in the day as a kid, if you got a letter, or better yet, you got an invitation in the mail, it made you feel amazing, right?
Yep.
The power of a personal invitation.
What a segue. He tells me I do terrible segues. He just did a great segue, and I am giving him credit for it instead of saying, "Oh, it's fair."
If you caught our last episode, he partially dropped the ball on that one. But today we are talking about the power of an invitation. In particular, this is part of our Unforced Error series that we're looking at, where we are trying to help you as a church leader think about some of these errors that sometimes you don't even think about. Sometimes they're unforced, and we're trying to help you avoid them. And today we're talking about invitations, inviting people to church, particularly the unforced error of having zero invitations.
By the way, the majority, I know you're about to talk about Cheney.
I am.
But the majority of churches have zero invitations.
Well, we're excited you joined us for this conversation today. By the way, my name is Jess Rayner. I am here with my dad, and this is the Church Answers podcast. Before we talk about this unforced error and thinking about invitations, we do want to thank one of our sponsors for today, Cheney and Associates. They are an amazing accounting firm focused specifically on the local church. They do local church finance, bookkeeping, anything you need as far as their finances. Go check out CheneyAssociates.com/church answers. I'll say that one more time. CheneyAssociates.com/church answers. They have decades of experiences serving over 1,100 different churches all across the United States. They will help you gain clear financial insights to guide your ministry decisions with confidence.
And by the way, Jess, we like that /church answers on there for 2 reasons.
Yeah.
One reason, it tells Cheney that, hey, somebody heard about it, and
sure,
they know that they're getting the word through the Church Answers podcast. But also, hey, Cheney gives great service to anyone, but there's a little bit of white glove if they know it came through Church Answers.
Yeah.
You'll get good treatment.
Yeah. So go make sure you check out that link, CheneyAssociates.com/church answers, and go see what they can do. Any size church, any budget. They are willing to help you with your financing and your accounting needs. So go check out CheneyAssociates.com/church answers. Well, again, we are part of, we're doing a series. This is one episode, part of a series called the Unforced Error series. And today is talking about the unforced error of having zero invitations. Nothing is hitting the mailbox in your community. Nothing is lending out and inviting people to come to your church. And we want to help you avoid this unforced error. Research shows that nearly 8 out of 10 unchurched people. Did y'all hear that? Nearly 8 out of 10 unchurched people would attend church if invited personally. If they got that invitation, maybe for proverbially in the mail, they would come
Well,
to church.
and I do not like it when someone writes or says research shows without stating the research.
Okay.
I mean, that's lazy. Sometimes it may not be credible. And so, where is this research coming from?
Tell
The,
us.
the first round of research came in the 1990s by me and a team at the Billy Graham School.
So Tom Rainer shows that.
Yeah. And 2 books were published from it with Zondervan. They were my publishers then. One called Surprising Insights from the Unchurched, and then an accompanying volume called The Unchurched Next Door. They kind of came out with a big bang. I mean, it was something that people looked at and said, "Oh, I had no idea." Then an update is not a book, but it's research by Church Answers Research on new surprising insights from the unchurched, where we're asking the same type of questions. Just obviously, this is dated in 2025, is updated. But here's the bottom line: hardly anything has changed on the invitation side. If you invite someone, they will come. If you invite them and tell them you'll go in the building with them, they will come.
Right. So if you say invited personally, does this mean that there's already an established relationship with this person?
No.
Okay.
It could be casual. It could be first time. Hey, I'm talking to someone. Hey, I'd love you to go to church with me. And here's how. Now, think about invitations in the real world. An invitation to go to a ball game. I went to a soccer game with Jess's family last week.
Mm-hmm.
We won. Nashville
SC.
Nashville SC won. We beat some communist team. I don't know who was it.
New York, the Red Bulls.
Yeah, and then I went to Major League Baseball game with Sam, his older brother, and they beat Houston. And my point in all of this is I was invited to both of them. But you know what? Jess invited me and said, "Come with me." Sam invited me and said, "Come with me." He didn't just say, "Hey, I want to invite you to go to a Nashville SC soccer game,"
Mm-hmm.
and you show up there. Sometimes we think that that's an invitation. It's better than nothing, but an invitation means you're going to be there with them.
Right. Yeah.
And they want to walk. They want to walk into the building with you, not by themselves.
Right. Yeah. And to be honest, I was really just inviting Mom. You just had to be on the text message thread where it included you. But
you don't know this, but your grandson invited me without your saying anything. He said, "I hope you're coming."
Yeah.
That almost sounds like he was assuming that maybe he was worried that Dad had not invited me. So
he knows what my priorities are. So, yeah. But yeah, it's that we picked you up. We said, "Hey, meet us here at this time. We'll pick you up. We're on the way. You're on our way up. We'll grab you. We'll go and we'll go in together. One car." Yeah, it's that power of the personal invitation.
8 out of 10, folks.
8 out of 10 people.
Don't look over that lightly.
Right.
8 out of 10 people, many of whom's eternity is at stake. And if you invite them, they will come. But an invitation means you're going to sacrifice a little bit. You're going to maybe take them to a meal afterwards. You're going to walk in the door with them. Mm-hmm. It is not just, "Hey, y'all come." It is, "Come with me."
Right. Yeah. That when we talk about a personal invitation, it is not just a flyby. Love to see you at church sometime. It is, hey, let's be intentional. It's an intentional personal invitation to attend church. And if you do that kind of invitation, 8 out of 10 people most likely will attend.
No, 8 out of 10 will come, not most likely. We got all kind of data. Now, I do want to say this: at our church, Jess, we have invite cards, and they are great, and you should be handing them out by the half dozens, if not more. I'm pretty good about handing out those cards. That is a pre-invitation. It's good. It prepares the ground, and some people may actually come because of it. It's not the 8 out of 10 though.
Yeah, that's a tool. Mm-hmm. That's a tool to create a pathway for the personal invitation. Mm-hmm. I asked church members to use it in all different sorts of ways, but the hope is that it will be a personal invitation. Despite this openness, despite this idea that 8 out of 10 unchurched people would attend if invited personally, most churches lack a structured approach or culture of regular invitation.
I am totally perplexed.
I was gonna ask the question. I mean, you're the expert here. I'm asking the church question. Why is that? What's your church answer?
I think I have a church answer with one chasm in it, which means you can use another metaphor, an unfilled blank or something like that. Here's what we know. We know that churches that are highly intentional about structured outreach, in other words, they have something on the calendar. Mm-hmm. You might cringe and say, "Ooh, that sounds like a program," or something canned, but they have something highly intentional. We know that the churches that do 1, 2, 3, or even 4, their evangelism or their conversion rate gets better and better and better. I'm not going to go with all the numbers. We've done that before. So we know that. We know that if someone is invited, 8 out of 10 times they will come. What we have yet to find out is, even among pastors who believe it and other church leaders, there is a disconnect where it's not actually taking place. I'm trying to discover, and that's a research project I'm working on right now. Okay. I'm trying to discover what is getting in the way of the gospel going out. What is getting in the way? That's my research project right now. I'm starting with a focus group, and then I'm going to go beyond that and make it into a broader research project.
Yeah.
Why don't church leaders, they know what they're supposed to do. They know that evangelism is a mandate, but why is it not taking place? I've got theories.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And my question, and I don't have the answer to this, but my question is the bigger barrier with the church leaders and with the church at large, or is it with the individual? Which one is it? It may be both.
I am researching it from the perspective of the church corporate, because I'm looking at calendars. You're asking another question about the individuals. Right. I'm looking at it from the point of view as what is prioritized on a church calendar. I'm trying to find out why that's not taking place. It's not going to answer all the questions, but to my knowledge, in recent years anyway, maybe in a long time, no one has asked the question, what are the impediments? Why is that not taking place? Now, we can begin to guess. Well, you've got a sermon, at least one sermon to do every week. That becomes the tyranny of the urgent right there. You have emergency calls that take place. We could go down a list of things that are probable, but I want to find those out, see if we can find some solutions to overcome them.
Right. Yeah. Why doesn't a church have a structured approach or culture of regular invitation?
Exactly.
Well, I can go ahead and tell you one way that you can begin to remedy this problem. It's by creating an outward focus through sports.
Pickleball?
Pickleball it is.
Pickleball. I love pickleball.
Oh, dear.
Pickleball. Everybody loves pickleball.
One of our other sponsors for this podcast is Upward Sports. And we would love for you to go to upward.org/church answers. And if you know anything about Upward Sports, you know that they are the world's largest Christian youth sports organization, partnering with local churches to use sports as a powerful outreach tool to engage the community. Not just youth sports, but now they've focused on adults. In fact, they have one in particular called Running for Adults. But they've also jumped into this amazing world of pickleball. And so if you are looking for a way to say, hey, you know what? I don't want to have a non-structured approach. I want to do something to begin to reach my community. We have the facilities. We have a parking lot. Surely we can do pickleball. Go to upward.org/church answers and just get some information. See how they can help you. Put it on the calendar. Do something later this year in the fall where you're trying to reach the community in some way. If you feel like you can't do it on your own, then don't. Go to upward.org/church answers and partner with them.
Classic example of putting it on the calendar. Mm-hmm. Classic example of having something where members are encouraged. Mm-hmm. Classic example of invitation-based outreach.
Got to get on the calendar. That is my wife and I have this discussion. And we talk about things we want to do, and I look at her and say, if we don't put it on the calendar, it won't happen. And so,
did you know your mother has started checking my schedule now?
Wow,
I'm impressed. I mean, I really am, because I want her to know everything that's going on. So I'm in Bradenton right now. I'm going to make the trip back to Nashville, and I'm going to take 2 days. And I just happened to mention to her, she said, where will you be on such and such date? And I said, I'll be in Prattville because I plan to stay over on the trip because it was
Sure.
14 hours coming here.
Sure.
And so I'm going to stay over. She said, Prattville's not on my calendar. I could have jumped up and down.
There
I
you
mean,
go. There you go.
I said, well, I'm sorry I didn't put that there. It's one leg of my journey. And that's what I put on there. But I didn't put Prattville.
Why didn't you do that? It's the calendar.
It's
the calendar. Put it on your calendar. All right. In addition, so you were kind of talking about two sides of this. The corporate church, you're talking about the leadership and the organization, making sure they're going to be intentional. Again, we don't want you to have the unforced error of not inviting anyone to church. And so one, it's about figuring out a time to put something on the calendar. But members, here's the other side of this. Members often need encouragement and practical tools to extend an invite confidently. We talked about invite cards. We have them on the back of every chair. They're clipped there. And not every week, but I try to do it with some regularity. I tell our church members, because we read a Bible verse at the end of our service. We've talked about it here. It's Matthew 9:36-38. It's talking about the harvest is abundant, but the workers are few. Therefore, pray to the Lord of the harvest to send out workers into his harvest. It's the reminder that we're to pray, and we're to go. But sometimes I tell them, before you stand up and read this verse, grab that card. Go use it to invite someone. They need that little. I need it. That little extra tool. Why is that?
That becomes part of the structure that causes them to move in that direction.
Okay.
We assume that if we say something, it will happen. But basically, your tool with your wife is your calendar. And that's the way that things will actually take place. You use a tool. In the church, just saying it is good, but it's usually not sufficient. And so we have to offer them tools. That's why I love Upward. That's why I love all the emphasis. They started with basketball, multiple sports, now running and pickleball. I love all of that because it puts it on the calendar, and you no longer have to you can go to your community sports league, obviously, but there's now one where Christians are connecting with one another. Yeah. So there are all kind of tools that are out there. We'll talk about one of the tools in just a minute, but there are a lot of them.
Yeah, I know earlier this year, and we're doing our best here at the Church of Spring Hill to become more structured as well. We did one back in March where God just lined this up. We're preaching, I'm preaching, and our elders are preaching, and you are preaching through the book of John as a church, and it's going to be a year plus long endeavor. But I didn't realize this until about a month ahead. I preached John 3:16 on March 16th. So it's 3:16 on 3:16. And we just created these little tiny cards that said 3:16 on 3:16. And the whole point was each person that came to the church was writing down one name of someone that they were praying for to know Christ. That one, we didn't even ask them to invite. We just said, who are you praying for that doesn't know Christ?
Very good.
And so there's different levels that you can do with your church. I often talk about, when a church is outwardly focused, there's three different levels that a church can do. One is just community service, getting out there and just serving the community. This could be, painting a school classroom. That's just getting out there and doing something for the community. The next level is outreach. This is I think this is where the personal invitation category would fall. This is you going out to the community to reach them, and hopefully they'll come back. They'll join you at church. Right. And then the final level is evangelism. Mm-hmm. This is being intentional with the gospel and taking it. And now these can overlap. You can have an event where all three of these are taking place. Right. But these three can all happen separately at the same time. Community service, outreach, and evangelism. One's serving the community, one's inviting people to church, and one's intentionally sharing the gospel. So we're trying to do a job of doing more outreach to the community. And so we're doing our best to provide those practical tools. But personal invitations remain one of the most powerful evangelism tools available to the local church.
It is, and it does, and it will. And I wonder why it hadn't happened. And it's just one of those things where if we can find out what the enemy is doing to get our mind off of the focus of reaching people, inviting people, I think that will go a long way. Now, I will say this. And we'll end up sharing two of our resources, and that will be a shameless plug, I guess. But the Hope Initiative is in thousands of churches right now.
Mm-hmm.
It's highly intentional. I
Right.
mean, I spoke to a small Methodist denomination called Southern Methodist. I was hearing amazing stories about some of their churches. Of course, we've been walking also with global. We've been working with Global Methodist and Cumberland Presbyterian and other churches where the denominations are taking their churches through it, and we continue to hear amazing things about it because it is opening the door for members to reach out beyond themselves.
Yeah. Yeah, we've done it here at the Church of Spring Hill. It's something we need to revisit as well.
I'll be talking to you about that when I do my sermon.
Okay.
I'm going to seek permission, so I'm not going to ask permission on a podcast.
Hey, all of our listeners can join in on our conversation about, some church planning for the Church of Spring Hill. We're going to be doing some other things this fall that I haven't shared with you, so we'll have to make sure we coordinate. But we're gonna get beyond the walls this fall. And I do want that. I want that personal invitations. I want that outreach, and Lord willing, I want that evangelism, because personal invitations remain one of the most powerful evangelism tools available. Often it opens up a door for people to have evangelistic conversations, but also, assuming your sermons are focused on evangelism and sharing the gospel, which I hope they are, people coming to church will hear the gospel of Jesus Christ. So it's a powerful tool. Don't miss this. It's the unforced error of all unforced errors. If I could give it that one, I think this one is. It's
a big one.
Not having invitation. So here at Church Answers, we do have some resources that I know you're going to mention, programs like Invite Your One. So what are some things that very practical here as we kind of wrap this one up? Very practical.
Let's just use the two.
Okay.
The Hope Initiative is a 30-day initiative where people go through a book one day for 30 consecutive days. It takes about 10 minutes a day. And the idea is for God's Spirit to use that to change a culture of evangelism in the people that will then change the culture in the church. That's the one that's been growing fast. Another one that has been with us for quite a while is called Invite Your One. Has the feel of a high attendance day, but that's not the purpose. The purpose is to get everybody inviting someone to a worship service on a specific date and to watch what happens, so let the church see what happens if everybody showed up who was invited, or most who. It opens eyes is what it does. It's not the number as much as it is the cultural shifting that takes place when they see what happens when you invite people.
Yeah, those are great tools for you to use at your congregation if you're a church leader. I do want to end with maybe a challenge / encouragement. If you are a lead pastor, senior pastor, if you're leading your church, think about this for you. When's the last time you personally invited someone to church? If you're not doing it, the expectation is probably not there in your church. And so I know this is always a good reminder for me. I love when I'm able to say, hey, I invited my barber. Hey, I invited my physical therapist. Hey, my dental hygienist. These are people just I've invited recently to the church, and I'm able to share some of those stories. I typically don't share it in the corporate worship. I typically share it with, we have a volunteer huddle every Sunday before the services start. And
it's not a holy huddle; it's a volunteer huddle.
It's a volunteer huddle. It's very intentional. It's rallying all our volunteers and getting them prepared for the day and what God has called them to do. But I typically, when I have an invite that I've done throughout the week, I'll share it there just as a reminder, especially for our welcome team. I'm kind of saying, hey, be prepared. I hope this person shows up. Those are some stories that you can be doing. So I would say at the bare minimum, you shouldn't have a 0 invitation church. You should at least have a 1 invitation church, which just means the person who's leading. And so I say it as encouragement. I say it in love. I say it as a little bit of a challenge. I say it as a reminder to myself. Start with yourself. And if you're listening to this podcast, like, hey, I don't want to have the unforced error in my own life. You can begin. I think God uses those invitations, and it might be the culture shift you need.
Two yesterday for me.
Look at that. I love it. Well,
the HVAC team servicing.
You miss our volunteer huddle because you're in community group. And
then I missed the end of the first service because I'm out in the parking lot.
That's right. You missed some key moments in the life of the church. But there's one thing we don't want you to miss, though, before we wrap up this podcast. It is any unforced errors with your bookkeeping. And so if you are needing some finances or accounting or financial needs for your church, go check out ChaneyAssociates.com/churchanswers. Steve and his team are absolutely fantastic over there. They know stewardship matters. They know your time is precious. they want to help with both. And so if you're looking for someone to come alongside your church to partner with you, to give you the tools you need to make strong ministry decisions with the right financial insights, go check out Cheney and Associates. Go to CheneyAssociates.com/church answers. Well, thank you so much again for joining us on the Church Answers podcast. We again have looked at another unforced error that we don't want to happen in your church. And our prayer is that some of these things ignite a few ideas, thoughts, and you go after and you begin to reach your community in ways that you never reached before. And so we look forward to, by the way, if you have some results, if you have some things you've done, feel free to share it with us. Send us an email, comment on Facebook, comment on YouTube, or let us know. We'd love to hear from it. So thank you so much for joining us on the Church Answers podcast. We'll see you in the next episode.